Local news that matters on Local 22 News.
At this place in history, we're in Essex Junction with Executive Director of the Vermont Historical Society, Steve Perkins. Steve, what are we talking about?
So we're going to be talking about what a junction means. Why are all these towns in Vermont called Junction? Essex Junction, White River Junction. And so Tim German, who's a member of the Essex Community Historical Society, is going to join us. We're going to explore what built this kind of really cool village here in Chittenden County.
So Essex Junction, what does that mean to be a junction?
We were incorporated as our own municipality in 1892. There was a vote, 1893 it happened. We were always part of the town of Essex, but there was nobody down here really until about 1850 when the rail line came in. Ever since then we've been known as the Junction because there were several rail lines crossing here and several lines coming together. As services were being added down here, they didn't want the town to have to pay for that. So that's how villages got started all over Vermont, was to pay for your own infrastructure.
And the main rail line here, where was it going to and from, and what was it carrying?
The main rail line started, it came up through from Boston, but all the way, it goes all the way to Canada. It connected here to the Canadian line. And the reason it's not in Burlington was competition. The Rutland Railroad and the Vermont Central were fighting over who was going to get the route, and there was a lot of shenanigans in politics back in the 1840s. Bottom line was former Governor Charles Payne won that battle and decided to run the line and connect with the Canadian line right here instead of in Burlington. And this place was called Paynesville before it became Essex Junction for about 10 years.
This is pretty acrimonious if we talk about the mid-19th century with these kind of rail line wars and who's going to get the rail line, where is the connection going to be? And you brought a poem with you that talks a little bit about what happened here.
He said, with saddened face and battered hat, an eye that told of blank despair, on wooden bench the traveler sat, cursing the fate that brought him there. 9 hours, he cried, we've lingered here, with thoughts intent on distant houses, waiting for that delusive train that always coming never comes, till weary, worn, distressed, forlorn, and paralyzed in every function, I hope in hell his soul may dwell, who first invented Essex Junction. What had happened was he had gotten on a train in Burlington, he was going to Boston, he missed that train, waited 9 hours in the old station with no heat in the middle of the winter. Then when finally in the morning when the train came, he jumped on the first train he saw, and it took him back to Burlington. He got on the wrong train. So there used to be 36 trains a day on 4 tracks. Today there's just one. We just have Amtrak and the Burlington Chip train. But back then there were trains coming and going all the time. Plus there was a trolley that ran all the way to Burlington, back and forth all day. There was a restaurant in the station back then. There was a huge hotel right over there called the Johnson Hotel. That burned in 1912 and wasn't rebuilt. But there was also another big barn here where people would get off the train and they had performance art and things. And I should mention the Drury Brickyard, which was our biggest business, was served by the rail line. It lasted for 100 years and over 500 million bricks came out of where the area of the Brickyard is in Essex Junction right now. All of 40th and Allen was built with Drury bricks, and there's very few people around here who don't have a Drury brick. They were all stamped, so you know whose they are.
At this place in history.